Hello, my name's Andrew Semple. I'm the rector of St James King Street, the oldest church building in the city of Sydney. It's a very special place, both culturally and as a religious centre in the life of the city. It has the history of the city of Sydney in its early colonial days on the walls. There are many stories that this place has to tell. We've got a very special project coming up as a part of the life of our parish. We're going to install a new pipe organ. There have been several pipe organs in the church over the years, and the current one has really come to the end of its life. It's starting to fail every now and then. It's costing a lot more to maintain it. So we've had to work hard to decide what are we going to do about this, whether we should restore it or whether we should get a new pipe organ. And all the advice that we have had is it's time to get a new one. For a church such as ours, this is really quite important. Music is a central part of the life of this church community, both through the organ and the choir and the many other activities that we have in this place. And music has a spiritual aspect to it, which is so important, whether within our tradition or any other tradition. So yes, a pipe organ for us is central. We need an instrument that can both be used in our worship, but also, and I think this is quite important, available for concerts and other activities as a part of the cultural life of the city.
St James is a bastion of the Anglican choral tradition, and that revolves around high-class choral music on a daily basis, accompanied by an organ. And that is fundamental to the repertoire we do and maintaining that tradition and moving forward. The organ provides a huge array of tone colours to accompany the choir and to support congregational singing, which of course is very important, and as a recital instrument too.
The existing instrument at St James, it is a difficult instrument to work with. Playing it is always a sort of process of compromise, being very, very careful about what you use and what you don't use.
Well, the current organ is quite wont to make sounds of its own volition. It quite often randomly starts playing notes that the organist did not intend to play.
We've had recently a problem with one of the pedal notes that was stuck on, and to get it fixed properly involves taking a lot of things apart. We were having increasing problems with perishing leather in all the bellows underneath that feed the different divisions of the organ. Basically, we repaired them all, but that one was beyond repair. So rather than have it explode in a puff during a service, we disconnected that one. I've got to the point here where I start to feel embarrassed for our organ scholar that we are offering him less and less of an instrument to work with. And this new instrument is going to offer so much more.
In the last 10 years or so, the organ has been very much on the decline. You know, it's an old beast, it's an old mongrel on its last legs. And gradually the organist has had more and more challenges working around its limitations, which seem to be ever increasing.
So we started with 8 very good organ builders. We chose a firm, Dobson pipe organ builders of Lake City in Iowa, in the middle of America.
They've got a great reputation, and it's growing all the time. I have played the Catholic Cathedral organ in Los Angeles just to try it, and was extremely impressed with the sound, and it had all the kind of tonal colours that I really like, and I think it will work really well here.
This will be the first Dobson organ in the Southern Hemisphere, and only the second Dobson organ outside of the USA. For Australia, it's a new sound, it's a new style. There has been, to my knowledge, no new large American instrument to come to Australia ever, so that will be interesting. It won't be entirely American sounding. The philosophy I chatted about to the builders to start with was this would sound like a very famous organ builder from England, Arthur Harrison, and a very famous organ builder of the time, that is about the 1920s, from America, E.M. Skinner. And I said that this organ needed to sound like E.M. Skinner and Arthur Harrison meeting on a transatlantic steamer. And that, I think, is what this instrument will do. I'm hoping it will be a wonderful recital instrument and that the church will allow it free scope to do that. It will be I think the third biggest instrument in Sydney, only topped by the Sydney Opera House and the Sydney Town Hall. After that comes St James. So it will have remarkable versatility and flexibility. Hopefully it will attract a wide variety of overseas players and locals who will want to come and play it.
Organists are funny people because they tend to, as I did in my youth, write to as many places around the world asking to play in their recital series. It's one of the few, they're one of the few groups, musicians in the world that actually do this. So you get lots of organists travelling around the world for very little money, playing fantastic instruments just for the opportunity of doing so.
I'm an organist myself. I moved here to Sydney from London in 2010, and one of the things that struck me, and I find rather a source of sadness, is that there's really no organ here in Sydney that makes me want to go to it and play. And for any musician, that's a tragedy. That's not to say there aren't some fine instruments here, but they're few and far between. They're often very difficult to get access to, and most of the organs are at best unremarkable. So what St James are proposing is something that will be in every way truly remarkable, and that's very exciting for every musician.
This organ will be fantastic for improvisation. I'm very excited to hear what it will be able to do. Here at St James, for example, improvisation is hugely important in the services. There is a huge responsibility on an organist in a place like St James, King Street, Christchurch and Lawrence, St Mary's Cathedral, to help inspire a congregation with what they do. A good organist or an organist can make or break a liturgy's atmosphere with what they do or what they don't do or what they can't do well.
When you think of venues for good music in Sydney, there are a few places you think of. You think of the Sydney Opera House, and you think of City Recital Hall in Angel Place, and you think of St James Church. And St James is the perfect place for a lot of repertoire and choral repertoire that requires organ. And to have an instrument of an outstanding quality, which this will be, a real asset to performers and of course to the audiences that will come and hear it played.
Talking about what's possible with the organ and church music, I think it would be remiss of me not to say how important this organ will be for music education, for the education of young organists, getting people interested in choral music. There are very few places in Australia that provide really good music education from an early age. And a place like St James can really help that. And you get a group of school kids coming, as I hope they will get, from various schools to come in for an open day, hear the organ, see the organist play, be told about it, listen to the sound in the room. It's those kind of moments of inspiration. You might get one or two. It's a light through the window moment for them, or a St Paul conversion on the Damascus Road experience, the light shining from heaven saying, "Ah, I am meant for this, and this is meant for me." Those are the moments that we have to expose people to. That's how you find your next generation. So St James is critical in this city and this country.
The organ will cost us about $3 million to buy and install, but it's going to be an exceptional instrument, and we're confident that we can raise the money to achieve that.
This is a hugely significant time to be embarking on our organ project. In 2019, we begin our bicentenary celebrations, and I see the organ project as being one of the major focuses to our 200-year celebration.
It's a 3-year project. We're inviting people to participate in the fundraising over 3 years. We are fortunate that we're able to have tax deductibility for donations through the St James Music Foundation, and we're hoping people will pledge over 3 years to support. There are several ways that you can participate. You can make general donations, but we're also encouraging people to donate a pipe. And for $2,000 you can donate a pipe to this organ. We'll tell you which one it is. But what's more, we'll give you a pipe from the old organ that you can keep, a memento of this current organ that you'll get to keep as a donor. More particularly, the organ is made up of lots of ranks of pipes. It's a series of pipes of different notes. And we're encouraging people to donate a rank. For $30,000 you can donate a rank, and you can name that rank. So it could be named after yourself or your family, or a memorial, but whatever you like, there's the opportunity to name this rank, and we can give you a photograph of it and a little bit of the story of what it's all about.
Please contribute to the Organ Fund. Please contribute to this wonderful new instrument for St James, for the choir, for the City of Sydney, for visiting organists from overseas. Sydney will now be a place on the map where they'll stop, come and play. And so that'll be a treat for not only us, the choir, but also for the audience and members of Sydney and Australia.
What I've come to know and admire about St James is that it seems to me to be a place that wants to be open to everybody, open to offering experiences, usually experiences that can't be found elsewhere, and they do that obviously through their church services, through their pastoral outreach. The music program is a huge way in which that is done, offering sacred music both in the liturgy and outside of the liturgy through the work of the St James Institute. This is a church that's trying to bring people in and to make positive influences in people's lives. And I have no doubt that the organ will be part of that. There simply won't be another instrument like this in Australia. And it's wonderful that in doing this project, St James really is taking up once again that mantle of the church is a great patron of the arts. Isn't it exciting to think that at least the church is doing something like this, because governments are not, no other institutions are making this commitment to providing fantastic musical resources, but St James Church are. For anybody who's interested in fine music, in supporting the arts, in supporting encounter with the divine, with beautiful spaces, the things that go on both at St Mary's but particularly here at St James, I would say please support this very fine and worthy project.